Well, this is what's going on right now, where a bunch of fighters are upset because Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather just fought, and Logan Paul made $20 million, and Floyd Mayweather made $100 million, and they're looking at this like, hey, what about me? Like, how come I'm not making that kind of money? And I think what they have to understand is, whether you like it or not, even if you are an elite, the elite of the elite, a Kamaru Usman, or pick any style bender, some of the best fighters in the UFC, even the elite of the elite, the money comes from people wanting to buy your pay-per-view. It's real simple.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, maybe in a perfect world, it's the most skillful fighter gets the most amount of money, but that's not how it works here. In the world of combat sports, professional prize fighting, it's all about how many eyes are going to watch you. And that fucking Logan Paul kid has a lot of eyes on him. He's had a YouTube channel since he was 14 years old. He's been on Disney shows. He's this controversial, larger-than-life, internet celebrity. And people are willing to pay a lot of money to see if he can box with literally one of the greatest fighters that's ever lived in Floyd Mayweather.
Hey, look, I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it either.
Yeah, and you know what? The best fighters, some of the best fighters to ever fight, Lennox Lewis, Andre Ward, these guys that I had the honor of representing, you never hear out of these elites that they're pissed. They're like, good for them. Because I think that they get on a fundamental level that as human beings, we unfortunately were hardwired to watch the train wreck. We want to see carnage.
Well, we want to see a freak show,
it is a freak show.
That was a freak show.
It's a circuit.
I was looking forward to it. I really was. I was so excited before the bell rang for the first round.
It's like going to the circus almost.
It's like a dude wrestling a bear.
I mean,
can he wrestle a bear?
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when Rocky fought Hulk Hogan in one of the Rocky movies.
Well, the difference though is that Floyd, first of all, you got to give credit to Floyd Mayweather for doing that, because it's so crazy to fight a guy 35 pounds heavier than you. That's so big.
It looked like he looked like he was fighting a giant.
Yeah.
It was like, and to watch him, look, people have a lot of opinions about Floyd Mayweather, what he does, how he spends his money. Listen, the guy's brilliant in a lot of ways. He's tapped into something that human beings want and want to see. But I was watching him in the fight. The guy outweighs him by 40 pounds. And he's walking to him, walking right to him with his hands up.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
So I was like, listen, he is a badass. And listen, the guy Logan Paul, he's got balls to get in there and to do that. How could you ever be mad at that? I mean, you could take a step back and be like, oh God, what has society come to? And I mean, it's come to watching the freak show.
Yeah, right? It's come to watching the freak show, and maybe not just that, because there were some professional fights on the undercard, but no one's talking about those. You know, it's just the big fight was the freak show fight.
And you want to know what? I think that this is going to continue until somebody shuts these kids up. And like, people want to see now, I think it's the same sort of self-fulfilling prophecy that Mayweather sort of tapped into. Mm-hmm. It's like, I realize the more I run my mouth, the more I make people have an emotion towards me.
Yeah.
Love or hate, mostly hate, right? Mostly they're going to be pissed at me. Now they want to tune in to see me lose. And that's just as valuable, if not more valuable, than wanting to tune. So I think that he gets human behavior and human thinking more than he gets credit for. I'm not here to weigh in on his life or his lifestyle, because who am I? I'm just another human being. But I think that the same thing is happening with these two. People want to see them lose now, and they realize how there's currency in that, right?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of currency in that. It's super valuable. People want to see him get fucked up. And, we were at the UFC recently, and Jake Paul was in the audience, and the whole audience was chanting, "Fuck Jake Paul! Fuck Jake Paul!" And he was laughing and holding his camera up and filming it and shit.
And DC got in his face.
Yeah.
Which I love to see. That was so cool. But it was like, then the story became Cormier confronts Paul. And look, there's part of me that is like, you spend your life racking your fucking brains. How do I make it in this world? How am I going to support my family? What am I going to do to make a difference? So there's a part of it that I get where people are like, and these two fucking kids, what did they do? How did they get famous? I don't know. They piss people off.
Yeah, but they got famous first. This is what's interesting. They got famous first, and then it turns out they can fight. especially Jake. That kid can knock people the fuck out. He knows how to punch.
Can he knock fighters out, though?
Well, we don't know. I mean, we saw Askren, right? But Askren, first of all, coming off of a hip replacement surgery, it's a brilliant move, right? You get a guy who's arguably the worst striker in elite MMA, which is Ben Askren.
Right,
and that's no disrespect to Ben Askren. He'd probably admit to that.
He's
Phenomenal
a wrestler, right?
Phenomenal wrestler, like elite wrestler. Great guy. Not a good striker. You make him box. It's like the worst thing that he does. And then Jake Paul starches him with one punch. But you looked at his body. He looked severely out of shape. It looked like he hadn't trained for a long time and then kind of got in good enough shape so he could compete. The guy knows how to fight and knows how to win, but that's not his sport. It's not his sport at all. He just took a paycheck.
I'd like to see this guy, Jake Paul, fight someone.
He's going to fight Tyron Woodley.
Well, after he fight, can Tyron Woodley fight? Can he box?
I know he can punch. He punches really hard, but he doesn't punch like a boxer. He throws big bombs and sets up takedowns, and he can crack though. With one shot, he could fuck anybody up. But the thing is, like the way he throws shots, he'll throw like a bomb and then set up a takedown or set up a clinch. He's not a guy who's like going out there with peekaboo style, throwing jabs and hooks to the body. That's not his style. He's never been a guy who boxed. He's been a guy who uses boxing in MMA, but he uses everything.
Does Jake Paul beat him, you think?
Oh, we won't know until they get in there. The thing about it is he'll be the most dangerous guy that Jake's fought for sure.
If Jake Paul...
Not even close. Not even close. And no one more dangerous than Tyron Woodley.
All right, well, if he beats an MMA fighter... Because
Tyron's not just an MMA fighter. Tyron is he's a UFC world champion and one of the best welterweights of all time. If you looked at all the UFC welterweights of all time, he's top 3.